Let's just see who has to pick their poison and deal with a bad matchup, because it's likely to happen one way or the other.
Yeah, I think they're probably just going to stick with this one like Greece. Just try to farm it out there up against the Corki. And it is going to remain there at 20 seconds, so definitely some interesting picks in this one. The Corki setup we talked about. The Skarner returns back to the Rift here for Malrung, so we'll see what he can do on that kind of level 6 jungler. Also the bottom lane, obviously, Lux returns, but now Lucian up against that pick.
Onus on this game is completely on Clint. You felt the same way about him at MSI in many games, and the reason why I say that is, this game actually slides into a really comfortable spot when Malrung has his ultimate, and they can actually use some very reliable pick power in order to pick up kills. But while their lane states get a little bit kind of nervous if they lose map control post-6, pre-6 you can actually pop off on this Rek'Sai. It doesn't matter about how you're going to be ulted by the Skarner in the late game. So I feel like Clid has a lot of agency to make aggressive plays. I want to see him go bot lane and get it snowballing. Get the flash down on the Lux and stop her lane presence, which can be so overwhelming as the levels come in. Because there's actually some concern that if SKT just farmed it out, there could actually be a big swath of this game where they don't control their own destiny 2 games in a row.
Well, Papa, you would hope that they are not just going to sit back and let Jin Air do whatever they want for the 2nd time in a row. So let's see if things change up for Jin Air versus SKT Game 2. Have it. 2019 LCK summer. It's getting hot here in Korea, and things are getting all fired up in the bottom side already as Teddy is on a ward. Will just back away, but we saw what he can do on the Ezreal. Excited to see this Lucian with the cleanse up against the Lux.
I think the cleanse is actually a pretty good heads-up choice here. No teleports in the bot side. We're a lot more honest this game. Only 3 TPs as the Skarner Spire going to be controlled first by SKT. The bot lane 2v2 is a really fascinating one. Given that we have a lot of new fans, we should probably touch on the Lux support, which is a kind of Korean solo queue special that's now become an LCK summer special. It's been, I believe, the 4th game we've had of Lux support, so it's definitely become a pretty reliable choice. It's Aftershock Lux support, and the rune choice there is very relevant, because I was talking about how I wanted to see SKT play aggressively bot side in the 2v2, and that probably goes counter to a lot of people when you see Nautilus versus an Enchanter kind of squishy range support, because usually you think, wait, just wait till level 6, press R on her, of course she's going to die, she doesn't have mobility. With the Aftershock, the play pattern is you max the shield, you hit the binding, and then if you get, say, depth charge by a Nautilus, if you can proc Aftershock and throw out your shield, which might have 3 points by then, might have 5 if it's later in the laning phase, you get 70 armor and MR. And remember, armor and MR interacts with temporary health and shielding, so it actually makes you really, really tanky if you just hit the binding. So if you're hitting the binding, the all-in onto Aftershock Lux doesn't work for a lot of engaged supports, and given the range advantage Lux has, this lane is actually pretty tricky to execute for a low-range AD carry in Illusion.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world for Teddy to deal with. We'll see how good he can do with his dashes. That's going to be the most important ability for him, is to get out of the way of bindings, to dodge ease in the early game if he wants to avoid all damage.
And that's the kind of tricky point, Valdez, is you kind of want to just shoot the binding at the support and not the AD carry, because if you don't hit the binding on that all-in, you just die. So that's the more awkward part, is you just maybe go for the thick boy, the Nautilus.
We're seeing a big trade in the mid lane. Here's another mage that likes her Aftershock, as Grace is going to go into that one. It's funny that it took so long for, you know, another mage with Aftershock to find this much popularity, as that was really the big thing about Aftershock. It came in as, you know, oh, this can make the tanks beefier and survive for longer. Well, actually, it's really good on guys that do not have much armor or health or any kind of defense, because it just allows you to stay alive longer and do damage.
And the Lux support Aftershock build is the reason why this kind of troll support. For many years, Lux has been thrown into the support role.
Oh, my favorite.
But never performing. You stack ability power, you don't really do enough damage because you can't afford the ability power. it's always been kind of a thing you give an ironic cheer to. You're never happy to see that Lux support. The Aftershock Lux support actually performs very reliably because she can't be all-in easily and is an ultra. She's not just a 1,000 range champion. She can walk up, hit the binding, and actually brawl. And it's the W max. So 3 points in E, 5 points in W, and then you got to hit a skill shot, which, you know, Lux support players, up and down.
It's deceptively hard. There are actually a couple of skins that I feel like it is a little bit harder to see the Q on.
Ooh.
I don't think that Kellen is using it here.
What's your Lux skin? Because everyone has one because she has 700,000 skins.
I just used the, what's it called? The Elementalist Lux, the expensive one. I'm all about that bling bling pop smoothie. That's
LCK
what I go
coster,
for.
by the way.
You know, I mean, you got to go for the flashy one, right? That's, what else would you pick, right? I'm not here to win. I'm here to look good. As you very well know, Pop. We've played enough solo queue games to know that already.
We're good at blinging out in our solo queue games. The winning part, not so much.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite specific Lux skin? You don't play her very often.
Elementalist as well, just because I like clicking on things.
Yeah, like extra micro.
Like usually players are looking at their kill score, their nice items. I'm just dying on the Lux, so I'm like, ooh, I earned experience towards my my colors.
Yeah. You gotta love the colors. Well, what is your favorite combination? Do you have one?
Not really. I just try to mix it and match it.
Yeah.
It's
I
my
usually
favorite.
go for Elsa. That's my favorite, the Ice Queen.
I have a much stronger opinion on how League should be played. I like it aggressively, and while we see 4 champions on the screen, it's a level 5 Skarner. So I feel like I'm going to go unrequited in the early game action, and we outlined that we want to see SKT use their advantages early, because eventually, Rek'Sai goes in, gets ulted by Skarner, kind of dies.
Yeah, you saw the Nautilus hanging around here too. It is just the support Nautilus from Mata.
Supportalist, as I like to call it.
Supportalist, yeah. Didn't find much luck on the Braum, so he's like, I'll go for an even thicker boy with more armor. That'll be the Nautilus.
And it's the kind of Transformers-inspired Nautilus skin. I appreciate, kind of Bumblebee-esque.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was one of the release skins, I think, so I think that's what they were going for at the time. Long time ago. Actually, when Nautilus was released...
Bioshock. A little bit.
I can see that.
As, here we go. Balrog hit level 6, and Faker missed everything. There you go, first blood. Valkyried into the wall, and then flashed into the bush. There was a ward there, so that was a little bit embarrassing. But you can see Kellen, he missed his binding, took an insane amount of damage from the Lucian, but after getting that kill, Jin just come over and say, thank you very much, this is our dragon now.
And awkwardly, it was one of those you only had one jobs for Faker because all he had to do was keep lane priority and be safe, and that's what Corki's for. It's flash, cleanse Corki. He was just going to be the tasty pork chop in the mid lane while they got a free Drake, and unfortunately, his death loses them the Drake as well. We're going to watch the replay here. Not on a wall, you'll notice. No deep vision from SKT because they hadn't been able to play aggressively. Predator's popped. Faker knows what he's up to. Tries to not flash, and then he realizes that he's just been, you know, a little bit too steady on the trigger finger, and he has no escape route and dies.
You can see also that they were highlighting that Grace was staying a little bit far away from that one. Very passive defensive, maybe even out of range, but I'm going to have to hold that thought here as Linderong has to flash away from this one, and that's about as easy a kill as you can ask for. New Aatrox, definitely some prized beat up in the top side. They're going to take another kill there.
Gonna lose some Scuttle Crab vision, it seems like, but they'll get the actual Scuttle Crab. But Jinair, that's the reality of Aatrox when he's not getting the ganks. He does not have defensive utility in his ultimate outside of movement speed. Ult, flash, death. That's why Aatrox, yes. The late game payoff, if you can farm it out, is insane. 5v5 wise, Aatrox kind of sucked before. Now he's really supremely overpowered with how much healing he does. But the cost is pretty significant, Valdez. Now your laning phase is much weaker. He loses to many lane opponents, especially with ganks. And that just means he's such a different proposition. He's almost a new champion, even though the rework wasn't as big this time.
literally just too far up the lane, dies to almost 95%. Akali's damage, has to flash away from that one. Good play by Khan to use the first part of the ultimate to get away from the first part of the Q. And it does go for that outplay. We talked about getting ganks for the Aatrox. Malrang just going to come up here and clear out some vision to start.
In previous patches, you see the ward being cleared out, but your Aatrox, like, I'll just push this. I got my Q, Rivenesk, and just pushing out the wave and get away. And worst comes to worst, if that damn pesky jungler's camping,
Here we go again.
I'll get out. Now he doesn't even have ult.
He doesn't even have ult. He's almost dead.
Yeah.
Look at Malrang. He's like, yeah, what did you expect? I'm leaving.
The point I was getting to was, you didn't have to have lane control on Aatrox before because you had a huge note button in Flash and ult to always eventually crawl away. Your note button is gone, so if your laning phase isn't on, if your lane control, as we've seen from Linderung, has had the lane in an awkward spot, Khan has been freezing it outside his turret, and that's 2 kills straight up. You don't got that note button, you just die.
And it was interesting to see as well, Clid just returning to the top lane. They knew the Aatrox didn't have the flash, so this time with the help of the jungler, thought it would be even easier. They were right, as Malrang got their second. But to be honest, I mean, Linderung was already at about half health when Clid even came in, so got a question. It seemed like Linderung was just trying to bait it. They didn't expect Clid to be there. As now Faker is going to have to cleanse this one. Didn't have his flash, so is just able to get away with the cleanse, though.
The wards you're required to be able to 100% be out of range of Lux spells have to be so deep out. As you can see, Malrang gets the steal there with the Chilling Smite as well. So they're being really good. This Lux, you can tell, is throwing off some of their movements because the cleanse is purely because Faker's not respecting a light binding over the wall. Kind of like how when you're playing against Rammus and you have to go for the very deep lane wards, your ward line always has to be deeper to fully understand Lux's threat range.
You need that extra bit of change and information to get into this one, but Faker, although he did have that earlier mix-up, is going to be doing quite fine. Slowly farming it out here against the Lissandra. Isn't going to die another time. Is about to have his flash available the next time around. And should be good for that lane, as Kellen has got a pretty short cooldown on that one, just searching around and seeing what damage he could do.
And while you're clearing wards is a squishy support, always a scary thing. You have 2 abilities that you can throw out, like you mentioned, on short to medium cooldowns. Level 1 ultimate a little bit longer, but the Lucian Singularity, the E, a lot shorter. The check brush, right? So you're actually relatively safe in a scenario like that to clear vision. However, if you're willing to use your E and R cooldown to check the brush, probably tells the enemy there's an important ally on the bot side playing around that lane.
You take a look at this now. Kellen and Root just going to push this one in. Already 3 are going to be down. As ultimate does come in, Malrang going to show his face and does force the flash out of Mata.
You can see how hard it is to play this Lucian Nautilus lane. That's a lot of defensive summoners that have been blown by the Lux and the Skarner duo so far. We talked about how it was pretty telegraphed that Skarner's bot side, well, Skarner's happy if he exits this without a kill, but does get the Infernal Drake.
Infernal easily comes in. You can see that E from the Lux, just checks the brush, knows exactly where the enemy is. Both Teddy and Mata had to be respectful down the bottom side, clear it out, and now an Infernal and a Mountain Drake are already in the hands of Jinner with another Mountain Drake coming out. This is not like game number 1 in terms of the Drakes. So Jinner getting off to that nice start. They don't quite have that big gold lead they had in game number 1, but again, it's still early in this one, just 13 minutes in.
The game plan for SKT will be to try to rotate around the Aatrox in the 1v1. That's what they want to do. It feels like there'll be item points. We've already kind of reached it for the Akali, but it will come for the Corki later, where both of them can answer Aatrox in the 1v1. And if they have tabs on the Skarner, they'll probably be able to pick up kills there, because the Aatrox is largely going to be wanting to hold the line and teleport in for the 5v5 power that we know is in that Aatrox kit. But SKT is going to try to slow that down. For that, they want Clid to be ahead of the play. In the Drake terms, no. In the kill terms, yes.
And now with all this pressure up towards the Rift Herald, you can see that even Root was beginning to rotate up to the top side. But with SKT backing off and respecting it, Nobody's going to go for that Rift Herald just yet. And we will keep it here at even. All those supports rotating up to the top side now. Just trying to clear out as much vision around this big objective at this time.
Porky also getting to the point where he can disregard his lane opponent. It's always around one item, Trinity Force, when suddenly Grace has very little threat on his enemy. Teddy walking up, he actually gets the binding.
Kellen missed the binding, but the exhaust is going to be enough to help him out here. Faker and a Valkyrie forward in that one, but not quite able to do that follow-up damage.
The hype part about this Lux support is miss the binding, you probably die. Miss your W in team fights, you don't actually accomplish very much because you're putting all your points and abilities into shield strength. So I'm always for extra skill shot champions coming into the support meta because then you get to see the pass-fail clear for everyone to see.
That time around, at least able to hit the shield on himself. Thankfully, that one is not much of a skill shot. So, gonna be feeling pretty good about that one. Stays alive in the mid lane. Is going to be continuing to put on that pressure in the bottom lane where the majority of those plates did go down. Once again, Jin Air winning in the plates. I think it was 640 to 160 again.
Package timing for Faker. First one didn't really lead to much. We saw it for some wave clearing in the mid lane. Right now, Control Wards defensively on the bot side is a lot of coverage for the side where they've gotten all their advantages. So battle lines are drawn. Jin Air feeling good about bot side. Top side has been 2 kills, soon to be a Rift Herald. It's after 14 minutes though, so it's not an immediate gold injection opportunity for SKT.
Yeah, Marong hanging around here on their side of the map, as you were mentioning, looking to pick up that first brick, the first blood turret down at the bottom side. But Rift Herald taken here by SKT. They're going to take their objective. Looks like Jin Air are going to take theirs. Root going to get all of this gold now as he takes out that first turret. And once again, he's got big pockets for this Jin Air team.
The Rift Herald in mid lane is summoned. It's not particularly deep. Marong is pretty imposing. They'll get a charge from this, but will they get the turret straight away?
Not the turret here, and you can see that Jin Air not even going to take the risk to try to step up and hit the eye before it charges or anything like that. Just going to say, yeah, we'll let it charge. It's not going to kill it. We'll just take it down, and really you got not much value at all.
SKT could have 100% have taken top lane turret, given they already had so much priority in that area. They went for a kind of more opportunistic decision of taking mid lane turret that would have given them the strategic advantage that having that extra vision around the mid lane provides, but they don't get it. So actually, they trade down imminently without it. Definitely there's going to be some standing gold for them to claim later, but that just means that Jin Air put their 80 carry mid lane, who once again is in a very nice position in terms of items and gold. That means that SKT's game plan will be delayed for another little while.
It's got to feel good for the MVP from Game 1 to already again be off to a big racing start in Game 2. 2-0 with already the QSS even finished off for the Akalis. Feeling so awesome. Now Khan, he does have that TP, but he's just running down to the Mountain Drake. It doesn't look like SKT want to give this Drake up without a fight.
No, 3 Drakes, all of them high value, would be a lot to give over to Jin Air. Looking for a catch in mid lane. Root's low.
Taking a ton of damage, has to blow that ultimate. And now we get the knock up here onto Malrang, who has to go golden. And the flash on in. They're looking to burst down this guy as Clid is going to bite the dust. As already a pick goes the way of Jin Air. Even though Root was low, he's able to heal up a bit. Now it's 5v4 to the Dragon.
Stopwatch seemed very defensive from Malrang, but the flash was anything but caught Clid off guard. Now no smite, Mountain Drake started. Can SK2 do anything other than just posture around this?
Big shield from the Lux, but Khan already getting into the back line, and Root with no ultimate is just gonna burn away, as does the Lux here, but Linderong on that team fight you were talking about with the Aatrox going forward. Khan here trying to get aggressive onto Grace, but he is going to be too much, as he will go down in the end as well.
Linderong got a kill involvement, so knew he could just frontline now that his blood well was available. Ends up being no Drake taken on either side. That's the most pivotal thing to discuss, and actually Teddy's going to leash it to see if anyone's around, given the jungle advantage is on the side of SKT.
Well, now you've got this Aatrox that doesn't have his ultimate. Malrang is around.
Yep.
Looking for that steal, but is not going to take the chance. Will just give away the second Mountain Drake.
Important that SKT picked up that objective, otherwise it might have all been for naught. We watched the replay here. Remember, no jungler is present, so SKT need to fight. And we also remember that Root ulted earlier in the 1v1. That gave Akali the ability to lick her lips, pick up the enemy AD carry. It doesn't win them the team fight. It's obviously very even overall, and Linderang can be such a powerful frontliner. The most critical fact is that it's not double Mountain Infernal to Jin Greenwings.
Yeah, an extra kill one way or the other, and a little bit of gold is not going to make that huge amount of difference. But how about the Mountain Drake when you already have the Corki and the Lucian in your lineup? Not to mention a bunch of other damage that can make for some much faster Barons in this game.
And one of our hot topic discussions over the course of this tournament, actually, if you look back to LCS games in week 1, was how many QSSs is the right amount against a suppression champion? And the thing that I appreciate, as Faker's going to get away this time, is that Clid does not go for a QSS Rek'Sai. I believe this is incorrect to go QSS Rek'Sai against a Skarner, because yes, you dive in and then you QSS and don't get suppressed, but you don't have enough damage on a champion. There really is about burst in the early game. She gets a lot of value out of her AD items because she has about 4.8 AD scaling on her kit. And her whole kit is kill one person good with a high AD scaling. You go QSS, you don't kill someone, you don't necessarily die, but you don't actually achieve much. I much prefer, accept the fact that it's a one-way trip, but trade your life for someone higher value on the enemy team. So I do like Black Cleaver, and now you can go that QSS, or maybe just a stopwatch and go GA.
I'd have to agree. It does feel like too much of a crutch if you do go for that QSS. I think just have a better engage, better positioning, and then try to go untargetable at the right time and do that damage you were talking about. Get into the backline, especially with the Xayah and the Lux. Be that extra threat alongside of your already fed Akali, and let Faker do the sustained damage to the front line alongside Teddy. So gotta like it here as we are moving into this one. You are pointing at a particular item for our Skarner.
That's right, Shirelia's Reverie going to be coming out here for the Skarner. Another move quick ability alongside the Predator. Now allows allies to move fast. It might actually be very helpful for Aatrox to not use his first Q in order to reposition. It's not usually the way, as Malrang actually is just insanely fast. Turbo Skarner not going to actually find a target. Usually we see things like the Zeke's Convergence to give more damage coming through to the Xayah. And actually we probably won't see a Zeke's come through on the Lux, so it's actually a bit conspicuous not to see that. But I guess it's just, if we finish it first, I get in there and find my man.
Gray's showing us just how important the Aftershock is. Moves forward after a huge chunk, takes it, and Faker has to back away. Faker Valkyrieing into that one, looking for the play. But Skarner also hanging around, and Jin trying to make something of what they may feel to be a lead. It's very even in the gold, but how do you feel like the game state is currently at here at 22 minutes in the game?
I think right now, Jin around their AD carry in a 5v5. If the backline isn't under threat, then I think they're really, really comfortable. They're not worried about Rek'Sai. The only person they have to keep tabs on is Akali, and then they'll try to fight front to back around that. If the first person dies and Aatrox gets his Bloodwell online, then I think they really do have the ability to roll through SKT's team pre-Infinity Edge on the Corki. It changes with 3-item Corki. QSS delays that timer, so I think right now, Jin want to 5v5 fight, and I think most of how the fights are likely to go suit them, but it's all conditional. There's no guarantees right now, so I think Jin needs some map control, and if you look, they actually don't control many places on the map.
A couple of awkward spots. You see that ward up towards the top side near the top tier 1, and also the one over the wall here to the right side. Good binding. Looked like that did any damage.
It missed.
Yeah, well. It missed in quotations, but didn't do much.
It was a predictive binding and then an ult that missed, so it's kind of a weird conflation of what we usually see. Triple QSS now, so one finished on both the AD carries and the Akali. Only people that can be picked is the Rek'Sai, who we should admit now doesn't have a lot of presence. Now Rek'Sai's truly a Tremor Sense bot because she can't walk up and shoot Prey Seekers or look for a flank. She'll just die.
once again, Jin Air showing strength here around the Dragon. Really want to get that Cloud and make their Skarner and Aatrox in particular just get straight to the fight. So the Cloud actually not super low. And speaking of which, and getting into fights, we're going to click the first person we see. They get Mata, but here comes the TP. Grace in the front line is going to be denying a bunch of damage, but Mata's still alive for so long. And here's Khan trying to get into the back line. Will he have that damage? Yeah, he goes through 4 people, but now is on the run and is going to be dunked on the backside of this fight. So did a little bit of his job, but immediately dies, and now it's 4-on-3 in favor of Jin Air.
The 2-for-1 trade there was always implied because Linderong was able to finish that kill on Mata and continue to be a frontliner. Always be watching that, whether you're a Jin Air or SKT fan. It will be the difference between a win and a lost team fight for Jin Air.
Now you can see that Clid and Faker continuing to hang around here, but it is Jin Air who have control currently.
They don't have deep vision. They don't actually have the control ward on the pit, so they can't just take a freebie Drake on the back end of this. SKT waiting for their respawn timers, and even though Jin Air trade up, Root.
Oh, Root trying to go 1v1 once again here. Oh, nice stopwatch, but you're dead, buddy, as he will be dunked there by the bomb of Phosphorus from Faker, able to just do that one. And Root once again trying to contest up against Teddy, thinks he can get away with this ultimate, but the rest of SKT is there.
And that reminds me of the Game 1 decision of Marung to walk into the enemy jungle when there hadn't been a full reset and die and give over control on the Elder Dragon area, because unfortunately, yes, Root had been able to keep this mid lane turret up way longer. Remember that charge from the Rift Herald was like 8 minutes ago, and they kept it up this long at about a third health. But this time, with his support still coming back from base, with the death still on the Rift, Root had no business walking up, and he was baited into another trade farm solution. Gonna watch the replay how this starts. Mata has to stay alive. Things change. Linderong.
We're cutting it short here as Linderong is trying to be hunted down here from Clid, is going to get on top of him, and one more swipe means that the shutdown will go the way of Clid.
Another person who can rotate through the Aatrox in a 1v1 and win is the damage stacking Rek'Sai. If you go QSS, you don't have the damage to just burst through from full health. The Aatrox, but nicely understood. They control the red side jungle here, and they're just tripping Jin Air up on little mistakes again and again, and that might be enough for a 2-0 victory.
Teddy here does have his own QSS on top of the cleanse. Blows his QSS that time around as Grace was trying to be the one-man army, but Faker was there with the package, so Grace not able to finish the job.
SKT still trying to avoid 5v5s. It's still not happy enough with Faker's item tool. There's still no Infinity Edge to really allow them to change their approach to a team fight. Ultimate from Lux, used to check around the Baron area. But these are the plays you want to make. Sadly for Linderong, he thinks he's fine. And he very clearly is not, because this is Black Cleaver on the Rek'Sai, and this is Linderong playing like it's old Aatrox. Old Aatrox, you make a small mistake, like, oh crap, I'll press my ultimate.
Yeah.
You ain't got that button, you dead.
Get out of jail free card no longer there. And you can see the big swing that's happening here at around 24 minutes. It begins to topple over. A couple of mistakes here and there, and SKT immediately are going to pounce on those, punish you for them, take the Drake, get a bunch of kills, and now they're ahead by 3,000 gold in a flash of an eye. I mean, that's only 3 minutes basically.
And they just want to, again, continue this pace of finding picks here and there, not allowing the Skarner to get any inroads, and have that BF Sword pickaxe now turn into the Infinity Edge. And that's where the team fighting calculation starts to change. There's certain people that can walk up here. If Nautilus or Rek'Sai doesn't die instantly, I guess Nautilus is going to have to backline. Basically, the way SKT want to fight to go post-IE is that Rek'Sai dives in, and then stopwatches instead of just being burst down, and then the Corki starts to ravage the team. You just blow up the Aatrox because the stasis buys 2.5 seconds where no passive is available to that Aatrox. So that's kind of the approach here, or ult extension, I guess, to reset to the Aatrox. So given that, that's where things are going, but still, better safe than sorry. Wait for that Infinity Edge.
All right. right, where Jin Air able to come on in as a team, pick up that mid turret, move on over to the Baron. So they're getting way more aggressive now with some of the threats that they do have, the pick potential with that Skarner and the Lux nearby. And SKT, it looks like they weren't in position at the time, but maybe looking to pick on the Aatrox.
Still so much scaling going on with SKT. They play the Ruin King, Essence Reaver is a scaling. Lucian build, every Lucian build peaked at 2 items before, and now we're talking about 4 with a Zeal item and then an Infinity Edge. So the Lucian's best times come later, the Corki's best times have always come at 3 items. If you continue to get picks, you keep the game at your control, and you also like where it's going. So SKT, even though it's not explosive, even though the clock is going to read post 30 2 games in a row against the 1-17 Jin Air Greenwings, they're much more comfortable about their spot in game number 2 than they were in game number 1.
I feel like this is a very clean Skarner build as well. Straight goes into the stone plate just to say, this is what's happening. I'm looking for a pick, and then I'm looking to stay alive for as long as possible in these 5v5 team fights with the Aatrox, with the pick potential that they have. So, like the third choice here for Malrang on the Skarner.
Once again, seeing the Predator use just to zone away from vision. Do Jin Air just run at Baron at some point? It's an interesting thing to wonder, because they probably do feel this game slipping away from their control minute after minute. Not going to be doing it just now. It's got Cloud Drake spawning at 30 minutes. This will be the last Drake. We will actually have an early spawn Elder if the Drake is taken down soon.
Khan's going for a walk too, is just saying, hello, enemy team. I'm going to wave hello and then wave goodbye. I'm actually going down to the bot lane.
Well, he does have the ability to pop a Shroud, QSS, Zone Use, ult, E over a wall, flash over a wall. So
yeah, I think he's fine.
Of anyone to have a long leash, Khan is the man.
He's really flexing his muscles right now. Level 17 in this game, same as Faker. They are currently the highest level in this one, so they go down, push, they pick up another Dragon. They're actually going to have the lead in Dragons this time around, 3-2. And now with all that movement speed, they can easily move along the map, deny vision, and even threaten Baron, which is where they're hanging around right now.
Trying to click on the right. There's Malrang.
Okay, Malrang once again just blow up the Nautilus and go from there. That seems to be the strategy, but Grace, he's got something else to say as now Khan. Take a look at him in the back line, but doesn't find his man here. Does a ton of damage and will go into the Zhonya's, but it's not enough to stay alive. And now take a look at Linderong. Finally getting that Aatrox value. Takes down one, has the healing, and this guy just doesn't die. As finally will be able to make that Bloodwell work for him. But Faker now with the red buff going forward, trying to burst down Root. He's gonna not be able to go down, and now it's the Teddy Show going 1 by 1. And here's Grace off the TP. Teddy is going to go for the flash just to stay alive. He's the only one left from SKT.
And Jin Air able to win that one. Everything came together in that fight, and the items aren't there yet for SKT. They were forced to fight by another great flash ult from Malrang, even though he would have been so frustrated at not finding inroads before. Now he's on the Baron, and what can Teddy do?
It looks like just hang around and maybe go in with Mata, but the two of them do not have that smite, and they're not going to go in and just die. So the Baron, after that big fight, will go the way of Jin Air.
And it was unclear who was going to win this fight, even though Mata blew up. And the reason for that is, I had a chance to look over, did Aatrox pop his ult and get an assist? The answer was no. So Linderong doesn't have invulnerability to start this fight, so it does become a battle of dive. I love that Linderong understands that he's not an unkillable frontliner. He needs to peel. And peeling, the choice to peel and stop Khan getting kills here is the reason they have a chance, because that's where the reset comes from. The decision to peel and delay when he pressed his ult. We laughed at his ults in the 1v1s where they weren't getting anything. This time Linderong plays the fight correctly, and now, for the first time in the LCK, we do see that very potent Aatrox, and also just how frustrating those Lux shields can be.
Keeps him alive for ages in this fight, and he was really the one guy going forward and leading the rest of his team. So props to him, even though those 280 carries from SKT stayed alive for so long, it wasn't enough for SKT. And now Jin Air making a stand. They're still down on gold in this game, but they pick up the Baron, and they're looking to get a bunch of gold from it.
A lot of standing gold on the map for Jin Air. What's the replay all about the Aatrox? On the side of Jin Air and AoE, and the damage starting to come there. Scary to think that even without all the items done, 8,000 odd damage for the Corki.
Casually, and you take a look at Lucian, who is the second on the side of SKT. He still did more damage than anybody on the side of Jin Air, so definitely some interesting numbers to look at as this game does come along. They still have that pick potential, and you begin to wonder, when is Mata going to pick up his QSS? Definitely, it's a lot of gold to go into for the support, but it seems like a very easy point and click for Jin Air so far.
That or Azonia's, you know, you kind of need one or the other right now. It's in a really awkward spot. He doesn't really have a role in a team fight apart from ulting. Anything else is really scary for him, and if he dies, it's a support dying, and usually that doesn't matter, but if he dies and Aatrox gets an assist with his ult up, it really matters, because it allows Aatrox to just go all in on the backline, and that's the duality here. I really love how kind of pass-fail these fights are, and outplay is almost certain to be the reason one of these teams wins a team fight. We didn't know that when we came into Jin Air versus SKT, and SKT could have taken different avenues for a victory. They didn't need to look into Corki scaling comps against a team like Jin Air, but they're not looking to blow open games in the first 25 minutes on day one. They're taking the slower approach. That measured approach could still find Jin Air an unlikely victory.
It's not what we were expecting coming into this one. SKT coming off of a incredibly competitive MSI from all of the teams over there. Meet up against Jin Air in their first match, and this is not as close as you would expect it. They're looking for Khan here. Nice read as he was moving past that ward, but not quite able to land it. Now Jin Air going to make more of their Baron and get another turret in the bot side.
Cannon can be a hero here. The right binding might draw an early QSS, and that is, of course, as we have outlined many times, just complete gold in this game. Getting that QSS on cooldown. Deep ward, spots that Lucian's in no man's land when it comes to an Elder defense. And of course, Elder's very tanky, so you can't rush it down.
Lucian able to get over here pretty fast overall, but they have vision now on Faker and exactly where he is. They know he had his package, so definitely part of the reason why they're not just going to rush this one. Blue Trinket comes in. As SKT, they're not near the Drake, but they're definitely threatening a defense.
Both teams need to understand right now, with double IE done on Corki Lucian and almost 6 items en route, no one is a tank. Anyone can be burst. And if you overrate your tankiness,
look at this
your
damage.
team might lose out. 4,000.
Already with that mountain, and let's take a look. The flash on in. It will go the way of Skarner, but Mata able to set up this team fight. And already, though, he is going to go down as Khan, or actually, that was Click getting into the back line, is not going to find that damage. And now Faker has to flash away from this one, so Jin Air being aggressive around objectives. They're going to get a big reward for it again.
Just able to kill Mata, win team fight again. That's enough for them here. Again, in different comps, your support dying doesn't matter. This time it does. They roll through. They've got that Elder. They want to close it here.
And keep in mind, that was Mata flash engaging. He was the one that wanted the fight. He was the one saying, bring it on. They're like, okay, we're going to kill you, and now your team can't do much, as once again, one of your assassins are going to go into the back line. This time it was Rek'Sai, the last time it was Akali. But they go in, they can't do enough damage, and then they die. And it turns into a 5v3.
And that's why I mentioned the point, do not overrate your tankiness with 6 item 80 carries, 3 of them across 2 teams. Anyone dies, and we've already talked about how much it reverberates around a teamfight win. SKT is surprised with how decisive this Elder taken, and Mata tries to force something when he understands the Elder was probably low. They did not have a spot on exactly what the health bar was, and then it just goes like this, right? You just roll through. There's no frontline anymore. Faker had used his QSS, I believe, but regardless, for safety, has to flash away. We come back in. The 6 item builds are getting closer and closer, and in fact, they're there for Xayah, who has a Bloodthirster, just to allow her to frontline a bit longer.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed in that replay was that Khan was just not in the fight at all. It was the very aggressive engage from Mata. We've seen this before, where he understands the game state and what they have to do, but maybe the team isn't 100% with him at the time. Khan gets there late, and then he's like, well, I can't do anything now that everybody's dead. So not coming in as a full 5. Definitely hard to engage at times at that Dragon Pit. And here we go again. They do have vision this time, but it's just dying too fast once again. Will go the way of Grace, or rather Malrong, on that Skarner. Khan, he's going to TP in, but they can't find any kills.
They don't know he's there, but it's too late for him to force anything. Maybe they get a pick.
Okay, well, Grace, you're in a bit of trouble here. He's all alone. The rest of his team, okay. Going to go into ult into Zhonya's, but he's still going to go down, as his team will be forced to let him go.
That's an important Baron takeout. Remember, that's a 1-3-1 champion losing Baron. SKT, do they fight 5v4? Jin-Air do walk up. They seem confident enough to not just go into a full reset and waste this Baron, but they've got 2 minutes 50, so by the time Grace gets back on the Rift, they've got 2 minutes, and SKT, they've got headaches to consider.
Certainly a rough spot here for SKT. Even a 5v4 is hard, as they're just going to tank it up, take another turret. They had to return to bottom side. They lose another Nexus turret. And in this day and age, every Nexus turret is super important. Now, it's not a Nico or a Kennen or anything like that on the split push. It's more of that 5v5 kind of champion with the Linderong's Aatrox. But still, every turret matters here.
Grace can TP in 8 seconds, so Jin-Air continue to push up. They want to break the base and top.
Just going to go for it slowly here with the cannon. Faker doing his best to poke it down.
Helm can throw out just insanely large shields, like 700 shielding. As Root for now backs away, TP available, but not drawn out of Lissandra.
Looking for an angle, but not really finding it here. Just throwing out whatever damage Kellen has and poking it down when he can. That turret should eventually fall here. Looks like maybe not on this push, but they're really trying to make the most of that Baron, that's for sure. Okay, how about just go for it? Wow.
That was a big... It was censored for a moment there. We're back in the action.
Like, excuse me, I'm out of here. As now the push comes in, they can't get the assassination onto Lissandra, and they take out another big objective in that top inhibitor.
Even with these IE carries, the front line of Jin-Air, helped with the shielding from Lux, is just too robust. SKT have all their items, and yet finding a way through what is feeling like a defensive phalanx from Jin-Air is proving too hard for SKT. So Jin-Air's feeling like they're primed to force a game number 3 out of a team captured so many hearts at MSI.
Certainly does feel that way. Those Lux shields are just unbelievable. It's so hard for them to do much. They're having trouble engaging on this team, as they're going to have to go for it eventually. The Nautilus ult comes out, so does the Xayah ultimate.
Khan is spotted. He's not on a control wall. They turn on him.
He's going to be able to hop away, as now Teddy really trying to threaten it, but they see Faker go down to stop the push in the bottom side. That means that Root can step forward, slowly chip away at the turret. This is going to go down eventually, but only 10 seconds on the Baron. They should be able to take out the turret at least to start. As now even a TP is coming in. Jin-Air are really committing to this push.
Are they going to try and end the game or take a free Elder Dragon? They should have 3 minion waves pushing, and Elder is just spawning in 10 seconds. So Jin-Air, they hold all the cards, even more one-sided a position in the game at 42 minutes than you could ask for. Very difficult for SKT to find a way back into this game, and even to mount a defense on this Elder Dragon. They get one go of it, and even if Jin-Air wastes time, the minions will do the work if SKT try an extended defense.
Well, this is one way to do it. They're going to find the guy that doesn't have the QSS. We mentioned it so many times, but they find the jungler too, as Rek'Sai immediately goes down. As this pick composition from the side of Jin-Air seems to be too much for SKT to handle. Though they're still trying to threaten it here, 4v5. They still have a couple of 80 carries that are desperately trying to unleash that damage. Not really finding the angle as the lanes are pushing in. Faker's gonna go down! Root is gonna assassinate him on the front line. Gets knocked up, and everybody else on the side of SKT will not be able to have enough as double kill comes in. TPs are coming in, and we are going to game number 3.
A surprising game 3, but a welcome one, Valdez. Jin-Air will not go down without a fight. 3 games against the MSI representative. Marong stops Teddy, and Teddy's going to have to deal with a 3rd game against his old